Hello guys, welcome back to Gaming Tidbits. This time around we're going to talk about the PS4 and a new iteration of it. You know, any console generation, what do you want to talk about? Xbox 360, PlayStation 1 and 2. Throughout their lifespan, they've reiterated on the consoles, made several changes to it. If I believe correctly, I believe the PlayStation 1 by itself had 18 different changes through its lifespan. So consoles are always changed. They're made more effective. They're able to fix mistakes that were first made at launch, stuff like that. Well, in this case, the new designation is CUH-1200. Now, this revision is in Japan only right now. It doesn't look like it's coming out anywhere else. They had another iteration we'll get to later that just recently came out to Europe. But one version makes a lot of changes to the PlayStation 4. It makes it more power effective. It makes it quieter. Better use of memory. So let's get to this first things first. So the first thing they did to this thing was this thing now has this new smaller motherboard. So that's a major change from the other one. Now, one of the ways it was made smaller was in the past, the PS4 has had 16 memory modules to provide 8 GB complement. Well, now they've got that down due to double density memory. With the reconfiguration of the GDDR5. They're able to get it down to 8 memory modules, which makes it more effective, which makes it more efficient. Instead of having to go to 16 different places, it only has to go to 8 to draw from. As for the chip, while the chip has got a new designation, so far it doesn't look like there's any changes to it. It's still 28nm chip, and they haven't seen any changes. They think it's the same chip, but this got a new designation, so who knows. Also within it is the same hard drive, the 5400 RPM HDST Z5K 500 hard drive. So it's the same hard drive. Not really a surprise. Though they did introduce a simpler Blu-ray drive design, minor changes to component arrangement, and replacement of a few chips, including the Panasonic HDMI controller, which just controls HDMI. So they've changed that. They also made small changes to cooling accessories to the unit, but the main fan is still the same. A new power supply is introduced. So this thing is basically 80 grams lighter, which comes out to, 2.8 ounces more or less. So it also has a lower output, which contributes to a better power efficiency to it. I believe what I read was this thing is now basically as power efficient as the Xbox One now. So you're not sucking up all your energy. And to give for example, according to the Pocket News metrics, standby power is anything from 30 to 50% lower, depending on what model compared to since launch, than a launch PS4. So that's significantly a big difference. While 11% more effective, in the main menu. And then, of course, a little more effective while you're playing your game. So here's how it goes. So the launch unit drew 148.6 watts, whereas the new one draws in 122 watts. That's a significant difference. When you're talking about power on a system, again, it makes it the same level as the Xbox One. Now, what's most interesting about all this is that for the noise factor, because I think any console, you sit there and you pay attention to the noise console and the factor. Like if you have a console with a big noise fan, it obviously becomes distracting to you. Even though you may get used to it over time, when you go to play something else and you come back to it, that noise is still gonna be there. So for example, the PS4 at launch peaked at 60 decimals. Okay, a minimum of 43 decimals, 57 was the average range of the launch module. For the new version, the peak is at 56 decimals. Now, it doesn't seem like a lot, but it does to the human ear, which this one has a minimum of 42 decimals and a maximum of 52, which is like 7 maximum difference. Now, that's a big difference for hearing. Now, saying these numbers doesn't sound like a big deal, but actually listening to it is. Now, of course, over time, the truth will be about the fan, right? Right now, it just came out. These may be the numbers, but stuff changes over time. So that's the changes made to the new PS4. And these changes always it's fun to look at all the changes. And in this system, they made a lot of changes to this iteration of the PlayStation 4. Unfortunately, it's going to be in Japan only. Now, they just recently, in Europe, they announced a new version of the PlayStation called the Ultimate Gamers Edition, which is not nearly, it's the same old hardware. It's not like as redesigned as the CHU 1200. Unfortunately, due to the fact the CHU 1200 happened, that still means we're not getting any closer to getting a PS4 Slim. Still early, though. I mean, I don't think we'll see one for at least another couple of years. I mean, depending on how long they think it's going to last, they think it's going to console. They're going to keep with the console for 8 to 10 years. The Slim seems to come out later on, at least in the later half of the generation. So maybe halfway through the generation, maybe this time we'll see it. I mean, in order for this to happen, like the same article, they'd have to get the chip down to 20 nm or 16 nm, a complete revision of the full console in order to do a Slim version. And I don't know if the components are at the price where they can do that and make this system cost effective for them. Not that this system is totally cost effective for them yet, but that might even raise the price above losing money per console. And I know every console manufacturer this generation has tried to keep it where they're not losing money like they did last generation. So there you go. What do you think of all these new changes? I'll put a link to the article below that Eurogamer did translating it. I'll also put a link to Pocket News and all the pictures they did through it. It's a lot of cool stuff to see. Sony did a lot of revisions to this, which is not I mean, usually there's some revisions. I think the PS3 probably went through the most interesting revisions when they obviously cut out the PS2 emulation and stuff and a lot of other things. So, what do you guys think of all these changes to the PS4? Kind of wish this one came out over here if you didn't own one. I mean, for me, if I don't own one. If I were to get one, I want the one that's like this, more power effective, quieter, doesn't consume power. The one thing I know somewhere in here, and I did not read it, there is it does tell you the actual percentage of power used when you're actually playing a video game, though I don't see it in the article right now. But anyway, they do, again, a lot of differences in power management, which is very important. Sometimes it's something you don't think about when you buy a system, but when you go to pay that power bill or you play a lot, you do notice it. Anyway, guys, love to hear your guys' opinion on the new, changes to the PS4, the CHU 1200 for Japan. Would you like to see this one come over here? Or what other changes do you still think they need to make that they haven't made to the PS4 if you own one? Love to hear your guys' opinions like always, and I'll make another video soon. Later, guys.